I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle.
Do you have a question you'd like to start with?
Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseeing.
I'm so happy I finally get to show you my hometown of Halifax, Nova Scotia.
I've been all around the world, but I've never been to Halifax.
It's a very old city, and there's a lot of history here. We're going to the Halifax Club. There's a lot of activity there. Can't wait to find out all about how it's connected to the history of the city.
My name is Anne Simmons, and I am the Membership Services Manager here at the Halifax Club. It's a private members club. That's how it was founded, and it still exists to this day. A lot of staff and some of our members have mentioned that they have experienced strange activities here at the club. Voices, sensations. One incident I recall our cleaner talking about. He was here on his own. All of a sudden, lights were flickering on and off, doors were banging. He was in quite a state when I got into work that morning.
My name is Sasha Morozova, and I'm a cigar sales manager at the Halifax Club. There was a noise coming from the second upstairs bar. Drrr, 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 and really, really loud. It was scary. Downstairs in one of the dining areas, as soon as I walked into the room, I kind of felt a heaviness. Interesting thing about that room is that I heard somebody hung themselves in it. There's some areas of the third floor that just give you the kind of do not enter feeling. My brother heard a female voice, but then as they kept walking, they heard a loud scream. In the bathroom, I couldn't go into it, and I got stopped by an unseen force. I just felt despair, I guess. Despair and heaviness and fear.
I am really looking forward to Mark and Laura being here with us, having a look around the building.
We're coming up in front of the Halifax Club now, established 1862.
Sounds like this building was meant to stand for a long time.
Hello, my name's Anne, and I'm the Membership Services Manager here. It's lovely to have you here today.
We hear that you have some unusual things happening here.
We've certainly had a lot of unusual reports made to us by staff and members alike, yes.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
So this is the Uniac room.
This room feels steeped in history.
It certainly is. The frosted windows at the back. During the Halifax explosion in 1917, the window there was the only damage that the club sustained during that explosion.
Amazing, the original windows are still here.
Yes.
I noticed this really strange cold feeling when I walked in the door. I'm wondering if that's connected to anything anybody's experienced here.
Yes. People have mentioned some sort of an uneasy feeling within this room. Chills, oppressive feeling that maybe makes people feel a little bit uneasy about coming in here.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're not allowed to come in, almost.
Maybe. Let's head upstairs. So this is the area where I would say most people, staff members within the club have experienced. Lights flickering, doors slamming, the music coming on by itself, noises, and just a very uncomfortable feeling.
Wow.
So here at the club, we have 2 main floors which are open to our members and any public events that might take place. We are currently constructing a new restaurant down in the basement, and during the construction, we exposed some tunnels that run under the Halifax Club. There is a lot of stories associated with them as to where they lead. Maybe they ran to the Citadel or George's Island. There's a lot of history that goes along with them, rumours. Down in the basement, we have a lot of old furniture from when the club originally opened. We also have what we call chandelier graveyard, which is original chandeliers from when the club was first built. And up on the 3rd floor, we also have an unused space. It was originally the staff quarters back when the club originally opened.
The 3rd floor is known to be quite haunted. So this is the 3rd floor. I haven't been here in a long time, it feels like. I haven't been here since last year. Obviously, as you can see, it's not renovated. We mostly use this floor for storage if we need to.
The Halifax Club had some crazy energy, this feeling like I shouldn't really be there.
That is the bathroom. Last time I was here, I felt like I was physically stopped.
Okay.
Like I hit some sort of barrier, maybe a wall that didn't allow me to go through.
There is huge energy. Like, I just want to get off this floor. And I don't usually feel that, but boy, it's screaming at me.
It's oppressive.
Yeah, so much so.
That's the bathroom where the sex worker was thrown out of a window.
Wow, okay. Well, that would definitely explain the oppressive energy up here. And sometimes when we feel these barriers, these energetic walls that we kind of bump into, it's actually protection so that you yourself didn't feel the full intensity of what happened in that room.
Once I got onto the 3rd floor, it felt like the walls were closing in. It felt like who's ever here doesn't want us to be here. I rarely feel anxiety, but on my way up here, the anxiety built. And everywhere I've been, there's been this pushback. Like all my hairs are all saying, get out, get out. The energy up here is just so bad. Literally, it should be boarded up and never used again.
I believe it. I would have to agree. Honestly, yeah. I haven't been up here since when I was stopped, and I have never wanted to come back.
There's some things that you can't erase. I think the thing for us to do now is we have to, go downstairs, and I have to talk to the spirits that are here and get a little bit more information, and we see if we can settle things so that everybody that's working here is a little bit more comfortable.
It doesn't matter what renovations I do, that 3rd floor is going to be haunted. The Halifax Club was the most haunted building I've ever walked into. I remember going to the window that was cracked due to the Halifax explosion. When I felt the crack, I could feel the pain of those who lost their lives, and it's because it was pressed into that window, into that glass. I knew that there is more than one spirit. I was up by where the tunnels are. My impression that I got was that spirits are coming and going all the time here. This is really like a crossroads for them. So they don't necessarily stick around, but they certainly pass through. People that go down there might feel that there is a presence.
To unravel the mystery behind the bustling spirit activity around here, I need to do a reading with Sasha.
Hey, Sasha.
Hi.
I'm so glad we could sit down together.
Me too.
When I read, I touch hands and I see images from the past and images from the future.
Okay.
Do you have a question you'd like to start with?
I do. So basically, I'd like to know if there are any beings or anything from the afterlife kind of lingering around the club.
When I read Sasha and I touched her hand, I knew that she had been touched by all kinds of spirits, and they were paraded out in front of me. There is so many spirits around. I saw a shamrock go by. I saw a billy club go by. I saw a person in a suit, and they were very heavy. For example, I believe it's representing, in this case, somebody who drank a lot. Mm-hmm. So there's not just one spirit. There is a bunch of them. And there seemed to be a lot of double crossing. The people who lived knew what was going on with the people who died, and nobody did anything about it. And there's a lot more death in this building than even history tells.
There is a story of a sex worker that got thrown out of a window on the 3rd floor. I'd like to know if she is still around in the club.
Definitely. The image that I see is an image of a stone wall or a brick wall. She's guarding whatever that area is. She comes across as not wanting anybody else to suffer the same fate that she did. Wherever it is that she landed, nobody took care of the body for some time. And that's what she's most upset about, is that she was sort of like thrown out as trash. I think her body laid there for a long period of time.
I see. As working staff in this club, is there anything we can do to have a bit of a more peaceful atmosphere between the spiritual world and our working world?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what it's about, but you need to collect feathers. Yeah, I know it's strange. You need to collect feathers.
You know, it's very interesting that you mention that, because when we were up on the 3rd floor, in the bathroom, there were feathers on the window.
Are they still there, or is it?
I think they're up there right now.
Yeah. So collect the feathers.
Okay.
Okay, and
What should I do with them, though?
they want to be in the ocean. Then the spirits will settle down, or they'll be able to go off to where they need.
Okay.
So when I walk through buildings, I often see and hear what I would call like echoes from the past. At the top of the 2nd floor, where the ballroom used to be, it felt like this movement, like people walking back and forth, and busyness and socializing and talking. And then on the 3rd floor, it was like reality to me. Just felt like reality slapped me in the face. I've asked to speak to the prostitute that the stories have been told about. Spirit can see and perceive people that they can communicate with. They see mediums as sort of like a lighthouse in the spirit world. She stepped into my sort of energy field so I could perceive her. She had a pretty severe head trauma and some other kind of bruises and things. There's a feeling that he was very rough with her. And she started to speak and tell people the words that no other woman in her position had done before. She broke some kind of code of silence or secrecy. And she was silenced. She says she had family that loved her. And she was taken away from them and brought to this city. She's sad that her memory is what it is, and the story should be retold. As a woman who spoke her mind and stood up for herself. She just really wanted people to know who she was, to give her the level of respect that she deserved. But I've asked her if she'll move forward. She wants to go. She wants to leave this place. And I will help her cut her ties. I think after she felt like she could tell her story in a public way, that she was okay and she could leave. She's leaving.
While Laura and I scour the Halifax Club in search of spirits, another investigator arrives.
I'm Darryl Walsh. I'm a paranormal analyst. I've always wanted to find a place that was truly haunted. I think the Halifax Club has the potential. This is a famous haunting across the country. In all paranormal groups, you're going to read about the Halifax Club. Going up to the abandoned 3rd floor, which is creepy in and of itself, There is a story that one night a member got a little too violent with an escort he had brought in and accidentally, probably, murdered her. I immediately went to this small bathroom that has the story that the prostitute was thrown out the window. Various people who have worked here found that when they get to the door, there's a force that pushes them back, that stops them from moving into the room. Nothing happened to me up on the 3rd floor at all. I can understand why people that work here expect it to be haunted. They've heard the story. Therefore, when you go up to a creepy space, you're primed to expect something on that floor. I went downstairs into the tunnels. There's a huge controversy in Halifax about these tunnels. I wanted to see them for myself. So down to the basement I went. They're blocked off on either end, but there's a fair distance that I could actually climb down and have a look for myself. Nobody knows exactly why they're there. For almost 200 years, Nova Scotia was a battleground between the French and the English. So it would not surprise me at all if they were not an escape valve. There's even a national defense plan that references the tunnels. It was exhilarating. They add to the ambiance of the Halifax Club. Unfortunately, the tunnels, no matter how spooky and creepy and spider-filled and a perfect scene for a horror film, they're not haunted. This, I was so hoping, was going to be the place where I would finally find a true haunting. It's just a regular old building with a good legend, but a long history and a lot of charm, but no ghosts. I'm absolutely sure this place is not haunted. On a scale 1 to 10, this is a 0.
As one expert completes his inspection, another joins the investigation.
Hi, my name is Rick Sr., and I'm a home inspector. We're here at the Halifax Club to investigate some paranormal activity. I'm keeping an open mind as to whether or not we'll find anything unusual here. First of all, I went down to the basement where they have recently uncovered a historic old tunnel. I believe that the feeling of hitting an icy cold wall and some of the feelings that people have experienced throughout the building could be directly related to a draft being pulled through the tunnel. There could be areas of positive and negative pressure that could create airflow that would appear to be unexplained. In the ceiling, there are miles of old cast iron radiator pipe. Now, these pipes, if there is air in the lines, they can knock and make disturbances, particularly in walls and ceilings. These sounds could be interpreted as footsteps, somebody bumping into a wall, and making the person experiencing them feel very uncomfortable about where they are. When we moved up to the 3rd floor to investigate the area where the murder supposedly occurred, we've moved into an area that was obviously the old kitchen area for the Halifax Club. Now, in that area, there are 2 antique skylights that are chain operated, and there are also 3 dumbwaiters. Now, when the dumbwaiters are moved up and down, it is entirely possible that the air is being pushed through them and is moving the chains, giving people the idea that they're being moved by some spirit, something unexplained. This is entirely possible just through the movement of air through the building. After inspecting the Halifax Club, I would have to say, in my opinion, that it is not haunted.
Len, I would like to thank you for inviting us in to do an investigation of the Halifax Club. We felt very strongly that there was activity in the basement and on the 3rd floor. I read Sasha's hand, and I saw all kinds of indications within her hand that she had come in contact with spirits.
I spoke to Sasha after her reading with you the other day, and she was overwhelmed, and I know that she just felt so relieved after speaking to you.
I was able to assure her that she was in no danger, that these spirits are part of this building.
The feedback she's given me has been absolutely incredible.
I'm going to let Laura tell you about what she's found. She's got some very interesting findings.
So the 3rd floor is quite an interesting space. And when I actually tuned into spirit and I connected with the energies that were there, immediately I had a very protective female energy walk into kind of my awareness. The staff named her Annabelle. It's through love and intention, but I did help her move to the next space, what we would call the other side, and had the feeling like she did walk through that door. I really felt this great release, just feeling like I could take a deep breath and that there was some peace there.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that a feeling can kind of come over the whole club.
Sure.
That she's been set free. She's been set free from that story.
I feel that this has been a really positive experience that everybody's enjoyed, and it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Most visitors to the Halifax Club will be captivated by its historic beauty and charm. Those that look more closely may catch a glimpse of a few restless spirits with dark secrets.
Executive producer Johanna Elliott, supervising producer Jennifer Como, series director Donna Davies, hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren, director of photography Mark Hammond, integrated described video consultant Ron Rickford, development and production executive Andrew Morris, director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue, vice president content development and programming John Melville, president and CEO David Arrington, Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.
I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle.
You have a question you'd like to start with?
Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in an effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseeing. A new town, a new day, new adventure.
Yep, here we are in Liverpool, Nova Scotia. There's a really strong marine kind of theme happening here. A lot of old buildings and old homes.
Yeah, I think a lot of these coastal towns, that's where we always find the best coast, isn't it?
We're headed to the Queens County Museum. We get a call from them that they need some help, some answers. Yes, they're having a lot of paranormal activity. They believe multiple presences.
My name is Linda Rayfuse. I'm the director here at the Queens County Museum. Over the past many years, we have experienced a presence. Very strong feelings as though he's either behind you or he's in front of you. He's watching you. I knew that he wasn't real because he disappeared right in front of my eyes. We hear voices because it will push things off of the shelves in the gift shop. Several of us have been out in the archives on different occasions. And we noticed this wave of, I'll call it smoke, for the lack of a better word, dark smoke. It's almost like it's moving like in waves.
I can't wait to see what their hands reveal.
It's always so interesting how the living interact with the dead. And if you look after the living, I'll look after the dead.
Yes, yes.
So I'm gonna come around. So you get my arm there. All right, so we're walking up to the building. Wow, it feels very dense already.
I felt it as soon as we got out of the car.
Thank you so much.
Hi, welcome to the Queens County Museum.
Hi there, I'm Mark.
And I'm Laura.
And I'm really glad you could join us today because we'd like to share some of the stories of some things that have been happening here over the past years.
Perfect.
Great.
This is a county museum for a local history. When the visitors come inside, they are taken by the interior design. It's a cathedral ceiling. Liverpool, back in its early history, was a shipbuilding town, so we have a lot of tools from the shipbuilding era. We have been donated anything from household items to some beautiful vintage clothing over the years, a significant amount of wartime memorabilia. So come on in here.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, it's really heavy in here, like head-splitting heavy. Because I perceive energy in all forms, sometimes it comes through like a physical feeling. Sometimes I get a dizzy feeling. Sometimes I do get a headache.
Now you're here in our research center. We have the Thomas Riddell Research Center here, archives for people to come and learn about our local history. Right here is where several years ago, I myself saw a gentleman in a brown suit. He had his back to me, but he was a full-figured spirit. And the only reason I say that he's spirit, ghost, because as soon as I turned the light on, I caught him by surprise. He caught me by surprise. He straightened right up, and he didn't even turn around. He just immediately disappeared.
Wow.
Has anybody else seen him?
He has been seen out in our main exhibit gallery by one of our local people. She said, "Do you realize that there's a gentleman in a brown suit out in the main gallery? I just saw him."
Because some people, they actually feel somebody brush against them, or they feel somebody's breath, or they smell something. Is there anything like that with him?
Just the feeling.
Okay.
Just a very strong feeling that he's right there. We also hear voices.
So are you hearing what they're actually saying, or
No.
it's just like voices sort of muffled?
We can't make out what the words are. It's like they're muffled. If someone had a radio on out there and turned the volume up, but you can't hear what the words are that they're saying.
Is there times that there's, say, two people in the room and they both hear it?
Yeah. You know, I'm not the only one who has experienced all that goes on here. So I'd like to introduce you to staff members who have their own stories to tell you.
Very interesting. I feel all kinds of energy.
How are you? My name's Linda Molson, and I'm the interpreter here. We're standing right now in the wing of the archives where the Thomas Riddell study is. Thomas Riddell was an author. He wrote fictional history. After he passed, his son took some of his inheritance money, and he built this research center on for us. But he also did the den.
Wow.
He wanted his dad to be honored. It was built as an exact replica of his actual den in his house.
So all the artifacts in the room,
Everything.
are they replicas or are they actual
They're actual
artifacts?
It's a pretty active space already, I can feel. There's a lot going on here. Is there anything that you've noticed here?
Actually, there is. Kind of where the door is. And I saw a dark, wispy, I've seen it a few times. It's probably about 2 feet long and probably, I'd say, about 6 to 7 inches wide. And it kind of swirls around and then it shoots off into the den. And you can get up and go in the den and look and it's not there. It has gone.
When you say wispy, does it look like smoke or mist?
Yeah, it's a smoky kind of thing, like it's out of the corner of your eye. Something just whizzes by and you're like, oh, what was that? But you'll just get a glimpse of it, but we've seen it full on.
Besides the wispies, is there anything else that you're feeling, experiencing here?
We actually hear a cat meowing over by the exit door, and we have gotten up. We've opened the door, but there's no cat. It's only the sound of him meowing.
Okay.
I had a visitor come in. It was a gentleman and had no idea about this experience I had had. And he called me over and he said, "Are you aware of the ghost or spirit cat that's on that ship?" And I said, "Really?" He goes, "It's a big orange cat." So I'm like, okay, now it's validated.
I believe that some people are more sensitive to ghosts than others. It's a matter of frequency. If that person is on the same frequency as that ghost, they're going to be able to tell that that ghost is there. The staff at the museum, some of them were very tapped in.
Hopefully you guys can get to the bottom of this and explain some of what's going on around here.
That's what we're here for.
Excellent.
We're here in our collection storage area. There is a presence that our staff over the years, including myself, have felt. Maybe it's a younger person because we feel it's a bit mischievous because it will push things off of the shelves in the gift shop.
What kind of things is this spirit pushing around?
Children's books, just something to get our attention.
Of course, yes. I just feel the mischief.
Yeah. It's like,
coming
here
out.
I am. I'm here. We have heard voices of children out here. I came in here one morning to open up the museum, and as I approached that collection storage room, I heard her say, "Hi, Linda," and I was like, oh my God, she finally spoke to me. One of our summer students, Kinsey, she feels like the little girl will even hold her hand.
You must be Kinsey.
Yes, I'm Kinsey Francis. A lot of our resident spirits I have had contact with, but the most important is the little girl. I see her quite a bit. When I came to the museum 2 years ago, she was probably the first one that really jumped out at me because she smacked the glass. And I heard it and I turned around, no one was there. And so from there, it just kind of carried on. We had went out to the activity room and I put both my hands out and I felt her grab them and she pulled me down to her level and it was almost like I was looking at her. And I had this connection happen. And from that moment, I knew that that was never going to be broken. So I'd like to know why she chose me to stick to so much.
I'd be happy to examine your hand for the answers. When I take that person's hand, I'm going to be able to tell them the things that they need to do to appease the spirits or what they need to do to ask them to move on. Hi, Kinsey.
Hi.
So we're talking again about this little girl that's a spirit, and you want to know why she's attached herself to you.
Yes.
I use eucalyptus oil. It's a strong scent. You just need to smell it and you go right on psychic mode. Okay, I'm totally blind in the left eye and I only see through a pinhole in the right eye. My technique is very unique. People have said that they've never met anybody who touches a hand, in my case, and I'm able to see images. When I first read Kinsey, one of the first images that I saw was a little girl tugging on her pants or tugging on her shirt as if to say, come and play with me. Okay, what I saw is that you've got the spirit of a child and she picked this up right away, like it was just sort of like somebody my age. She's learned that she can trust you and that she can trust you going forward. I see a record player. And it is it's one that it plays over and over again. But what I see is that she's been around for a very long time, probably a couple of 100 years. It's like she was left behind, and that's why she clings to you, is that she's afraid about being left behind again.
Laura and I are focusing our investigation on a room where we feel a very strong spirit presence.
Yeah, so I guess this is Thomas Riddell's den, the reproduction of his den. I come in here, immediately feel this terrible crushing pain in my head, like somebody kind of got me in the temple and it goes straight across my head. So walking into the Thomas Riddell room, feeling that head-splitting heaviness that I felt, I think that it really speaks to how he felt when he was passing, and maybe there's something around having a stroke or something like that. I have to kind of feel at the room a little bit and see what that's all about, because I don't quite understand yet where that's coming from. And sometimes touching objects of the person that they owned, it helps, because I'm really drawn to this watch. So just as I'm holding this and feeling this space, the energy builds. I can feel him here. He's a very proud man. The stories that he creates, it's almost like they're alive in him. He's basically saying, this research center was named after me, and this is where I reside, and this is where I will always reside. Being in the room, I could feel his, he almost tortured himself with perfectionism. We talked to the staff about the black wispies, and I just think that's him moving into his space so that he can do his work. The dark smoke that follows Thomas Riddell, or is a sign that he's around, is probably more attributed to his unfinished business in his life and the things that were left undone. Okay, so this is called the collection storage room. I could feel children's laughter and some kind of noises coming from a piano, like plunk, plunk, plunk. So there is this child presence here, about 4 or 5, very early, like maybe 1800s, like clothing. I've been very drawn to this doll here, and I think this is really the center of a lot of the activity, just because the little girl really likes to play with this doll and can almost like see her rocking the doll back and forth in the rocking chair. Maybe that's the connection too with the staff member here, just the feeling like of wanting to have company. For me, I don't like leaving things undone. This little girl has been trapped in a place of unawareness for over 200 years. I would normally cross over spirits, but the museum staff was so connected to her and they didn't want to see her go. I have to always find a balance between what people want, what they're asking me to do, and what spirit needs.
Laura and I believe spirits are behind the strange events at the Queens County Museum, but not everyone agrees.
I'm Darryl Walsh. I'm a paranormal analyst. My job is to come into haunted places and see if they actually are haunted. Today, I'm visiting the Queens County Museum. One of the phenomena is that they hear voices apparently coming out of the wall. Now, I noticed they have a lot of vents. It's possible that somewhere else in the building, another entranceway to a vent, somebody's radio was playing, a couple people were talking, traveled down through the air vents. So therefore, anybody in the archives would think they were hearing something abnormal. It would not be clear. They would just hear mumbling anyway, and that's why perhaps they couldn't make out voices or they couldn't make out words.
That would do it.
Another interesting case for me was the apparent apparition in the archival room of the man in a tan suit, 1930s, 1940s vintage.
Yeah, those frames would explain the guy in the brown suit.
The interesting thing about that, if I were to explain it, would be you're here in a very vintage museum. Everything around, there's almost nothing modern. So you arrive at what you believe to be a haunted museum with vintage things in it. You begin to walk into the room, you flick the light on as you turn your head. Just at the spot they thought they saw a man in a tan suit happens to be a wall with all beige color on it. Since it only lasts a split second, I would just happen to think that the brain filled in incorrectly what they thought they saw.
Now, the black wisp.
Although I can explain almost everything in the museum, there was one element, this black, wispy, cloud-like image that started in the archive room and then moved into the Thomas Riddell office. I thought, well, okay, there's a printer right next to it. Perhaps an ink cartridge blew up, and so there's a bunch of black stuff, and you know.
Well, you'd be an obvious culprit. Except you're not.
That has stumped me. If on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this museum as haunted or not, I would have to give it, only because of the black cloud, a rating of 2. Because of that darn cloud, I can't say 0.
With one expert completely baffled, another joins the investigation.
My name is Rick Sr. I'm a home inspector here on the South Shore. I've been inspecting homes in the area for 10 years. I understand that there are several sightings and unexplained noises that people have been hearing. Personally, I've never seen any evidence of a ghost or the paranormal, so I would have to say I'm a doubter. I inspected the exhibit room and noticed that there was new mechanical ductwork in the ceiling. This can be quite noisy, so I thought I would go to the attic to investigate further. We're up in the attic now, looking at the mechanical system for the building. Everything is fairly new and fairly clean. I'm not seeing anything that would create smoke in the building. I removed several access panels to investigate inside the ductwork and found everything to be in very good condition. This is the intake for the mechanical system. There are some dead bugs and some dust in here. The bugs and dust really won't create that much noise because most of the ductwork is insulated. When I inspected the collection storage room, I noticed there was an electric heater in the corner. These can make a humming noise when they're running. I further looked at the structure and the overall condition of the room, and everything appears to be in good condition. When I inspected the archive room, I looked at some of the light fixtures, which are not making any excess noise, and the overall structure of the room appears to be in good condition. I cannot see where any bangs would be caused by movement of the building or the heating system. I did not find anything that could be interpreted as an apparition or smoke. The building appears to be in very good condition.
Well, Linda, it's been a very exciting time here at the museum. Thank you for inviting us.
I'm so glad you came.
I've got a few answers for you and a few things come forward. What I want to share with you first is Thomas Riddell.
Yeah.
What an interesting character. And the black wispies, or the wisps of smoke
yes.
that travel. My impression of that is that it's a representation of who he is, how he's moving through the museum.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get a bad feeling about it. I feel like it's him traveling around, and sometimes you're catching a glimpse of him.
Right, okay.
And, you know, it would make a lot of sense to me that you see him out of the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
He actually does not want to interfere with your work, but at the same time, he made it very clear that he has a legacy to uphold.
He does.
And so he will continue to watch over everyone here. When we walked into the main gallery, I felt this kind of brushing against my leg and had the impression that it was a cat. And I would describe the cat as a ginger-colored cat.
We did have a museum cat. His name was Curtis.
Aww.
And Curtis was an orange tabby. But then, unfortunately, one afternoon he crossed the road and he was hit by a car.
It makes me absolutely believe that that is your cat.
We're talking about the same cat. Very
Absolutely.
good, very good.
And you can address him as Curtis.
As Curtis, yeah.
So when we were walking through the storage collections area, we had a lot of impressions in there, but I think the most important thing is a little girl. She has dark circles under her eyes. You can tell she hasn't been well. She died suddenly with smallpox.
Okay.
And I feel like she's connected herself to all of you because now all of you are her caregivers.
Yes.
And I did get the name Audrey.
Okay, Audrey. It's really nice to know, Laura, to that you had a name come to you, because especially with children, you always want to be able to call them something. And so I think that's wonderful.
For some, the events at the Queens County Museum are easy to dismiss. But for others, I'm betting our investigation opens up a whole new way of seeing things.
Executive producer Johanna Elliott. Supervising producer Jennifer Como. Series director Donna Davies. Hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren. Director of photography Mark Hammond. Integrated described video consultant Ron Rickford. Development and production executive Andrew Morris. Director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.
I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle. You have a question you'd like to start with? Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseeing.
Here we are in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. It's so pretty here, and we have the ocean to the left of us.
Is that part of the Bay of Fundy?
Yeah, that is the Bay of Fundy, or the New Minas Basin. The ocean here, there's a difference of 40 feet between low tide and high tide.
I'd hate to put my lawn chair out by the water and then have the tide come in.
Randall House is the museum where we're going to visit.
You can see it from here?
Yeah, and it's an original farmhouse. They haven't changed any of the structure of the home. The staff is having a hard time. They won't go into certain rooms. The volunteers don't seem to stay very long.
My name is Crystal Tanner. I'm the curator manager here at Randall House Museum. Randall House is named after the Randall family, who owned the house from 1812 all the way until 1927. Randall House has a spooky reputation. There's been quite a few things that have happened since I started working here. I was scared to go in the basement once. Something told me I wasn't supposed to go down there.
My name's Kelsey. I worked here for a couple years. I would hear a lot of footsteps up and down stairs. I would also hear my name being called. I was looking at the bathroom door, slowly turning open when nobody was inside. And then a tap just turned on at that moment. We have a baby carriage with a doll. It's always sitting in the carriage. I went downstairs and I came back up and it was just sitting on top. I saw someone in period clothing and then she just disappeared.
Visitors as well have come in and have felt things, like their phones have stopped working.
I don't like one of the rooms. It's just a feeling that there's something bad in there.
She saw a black figure that essentially chased her out of the room. So I think there's something here or someone, but I don't know who or what.
Here we are at Randall House Museum.
I'm anxious to investigate.
Hey guys, my name is Crystal Tanner. I'm the curator here.
Hi there, I'm Mark.
Hi Mark.
I'm Laura.
Hi Laura.
We understand there's quite a number of happenings going on around here.
It's quite a bit. Follow me, I'll show you around. Okay. So this is one of the hot spots that interesting things have happened, things that we can't explain. My student was standing directly underneath the light bulb that's right above the top of the stairs, and it went really, really, really dim, and then really, really, really bright, and then it went right back to normal again. I was downstairs with my student, and she was doing her venturing, and she came into the kitchen and said, I was just wondering who that lady was at the top of the landing, looking at the sewing machine. She described what she was wearing, which was period dress clothing, probably like 1800s, a little bit spooky.
These things are normally okay for visitors that see them and they can go home, but when you have to work here every day, I can imagine the student was a little bit, upset by that.
Yeah, any weird thing that happens here, we just kind of like, da-da-da-da-da, like just trying to pretend so we're not too spooked out, but.
Yeah.
There has been other little apparition sightings. We call it the textile study. It's where our textile storage is located. It's just right in here. This is where all of our costume pieces are stored. My friend who was volunteering with me, we were doing some work, and I had asked her to come in here to get something for me. She was only in here for a split second before she ran out of the room with a look of pure fear on her face. She said that she had seen a black figure, like just completely black, but she could tell it was a male, and it zoomed at her is the words that she used. Like it went, and then she just ran.
So that's like manifestation of spirit, but in a shadow form. And that's something that other people have experienced in haunting. So that's really interesting to me.
So in this room, it's not a lady, it's a male for certain.
Mm-hmm. Yep, she couldn't see any distinguishing features, but she could tell that it was a male presence. So there's another room I can show you where another apparition has been reported to be seen.
Okay, good.
Can't wait.
Perfect. So this in here is one of the bedrooms, the 4 bedrooms that would have been in the house. And there was this one incident where these little naughty kids were out back stealing some yummy apples from the trees. When they were out there stealing, they heard tap, tap, tap on the window, and they looked up and they saw a nice pale face staring down at them. So there's this interesting little story about this room in particular. So there was a brother and sister. They were the last Randalls that lived here, so third generation Randalls. No one ever saw her, very occasionally, because she was considered an invalid. So she was basically confined to the upstairs of the house, and her brother was tasked with taking care of her and things like that.
And whose room was this?
This would have been probably the sister's room. It connects to the master bedroom, which is now our textile study. I'm assuming that's probably where the brother would have rested at night, and his sister in this room, especially if she needed assistance of any kind. You could easily just scoot over.
There was a feeling when we came in the house that was very much like a little bit like pushback, you know?
When I came in, Laura and I, we both felt the same spirit that was right behind us. And it was sort of like pushing. We want you out. We don't want you to be here. Seems to be a feeling I get in this place.
I've never experienced that myself, but it's not the first time I've heard that either. Like, I've had visitors come in that have that same, like a resistance, almost like you have to push through a barrier is how they described it to me once.
The energy's very almost like thick, so we're pushing our way through all those little barriers so we can get some information and we can figure out what's happening.
And when I take your hand, I will be able to see the things that you saw, and you know the how the stories affected you. But I'm pretty confident that this place is haunted already. Laura and I are fairly certain that Randall House Museum is haunted. I need to sit down with the curator to get some clues on what spirits are responsible. Hey, Crystal. Hi. I'm so forward to looking at your hands to see what secrets they hold about what's going on around here. When I take a person's hand, the images that I see would either be things that they would have seen from their own eye, but more often than not, it's symbols. So I've spent a lifetime studying symbols, studying what different shapes mean. I see an exit sign and I see a boot. My experience when I had first come in here, I was wrestling with somebody at the door who was trying to push me out. With the exit and with the boot, they just want people to go away. In essence, they don't like people poking around, but guess what you do in a museum?
Poke around.
People poke around, exactly. So that's what they're not happy about right now, okay? But
well, it's their home too.
It is their home.
That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah, they take it very personally.
Right, it's an invasion.
Exactly, yeah, this is their home. This is very interesting. You come with a harp. In your case, instead of being seen by the spirits as somebody poking around, they're seeing you with a harp. Harps make calmness. It's sort of a symbol for calmness. I think that they like you, that you probably respect them. This is why they're not bothering you. Like you said, you could, go through any room, you have no fears at all. Where others have seen ghosts and, they've seen shadowy figures kind of thing. For you, you seem protected.
Is there anything that I can do or we can do to appease them?
Yes. If there's maintenance that needs to be done on the building, do it. Okay, they're worried about their home being destroyed. And it's basically, if you don't take care of it, something will happen, and that's what they're afraid of. To unravel this mystery, Laura and I need to focus our investigation on the rooms where strange activity has been reported. Where are we?
So this is what probably was the master bedroom, and Crystal says now they use it as the textile study. So there's lots of racks of clothing, and the general feeling from the room for me is like it's really heavy, and like I know why people don't want to come in here, because it almost feels like I'm not really allowed in here. This is one I can say, these are really ghosts. This is what you would think of as an actual ghost that can materialize itself and cause an apparition or cause sounds or this feeling of pushing us back and pushing us out.
They are not aware that they're dead and that, there's a different world going on around them. And that's why they just, why are they bothering us is really the phrase that keeps coming up.
Yeah.
I feel that really strongly. And I think it's going to be rather difficult to explain to them or, say that, hey, it's time to move on. I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, and my feeling is that they probably won't leave, that this is their house, but maybe we can talk to them and make sure that they're a little bit more agreeable with the people that have to work in this building.
To
connect with the spirits causing the disturbances here, Laura focuses on one of the bedrooms.
Oh. Yeah. Lots of feeling from that entryway. Must be the master bedroom on the other side. Feels really heavy in here, like what I would call feeling like a sick energy. And sometimes it's sick, not just sick physically, but sick of the mind. So lots of disordered, like, kind of thinking. Very, like, feel like the walls are coming in a bit, like it's small. I'm gonna try to connect a little bit. A lady here who shows me herself as a child, but I see the growth, so I see her in her older forms. I have this feeling all on my, like, left side. Like, my left side doesn't feel like I can control it very well. This lady in spirit that's come forward, she's saying that she's very angry inside, and she's tired of being lonely. It's a small feeling, like I'm trapped in my life, but I'm trapped in the space. This is her whole world, and hasn't quite been in a place of understanding that she can leave. Her brother, he ended up to be an angry man. He was taught from an early age to protect her, so he would always protect her. He wouldn't let people in the house. They both had very quiet lives. I'm asking her if she wants to see him again. So she's emotional. She's been a long time without him. And he was her only person, so he's very important to her. They can't see each other. They're all in the same physical space, but energetically they haven't been connected. So I've sort of put her in front of me so he can't see me necessarily, so they can see each other. She reached out and she took his hand, and then it looks like somebody who came out of a sleep, like he woke up and he sees her. They're asking me if they can stay connected. And I explained to him that he passed a long time ago. I asked him if he will share the house with the museum. I think he'll be calmer now. There's not as much of an anger and not as much of a trap feeling now that they know they can leave if they want to.
While Laura and I scour the museum for spirit messages, another investigator arrives.
I'm Daryl Walsh. I'm a paranormal analyst, and I'm here at the Randall House Museum.
What a cool attic.
There's been a variety of occurrences happening here. Cell phones very often won't work.
I checked radio interference. I checked for electrical interference. I can't explain why people's cell phones don't work. Sometimes it's hard enough in the urban centers for them to work properly, let alone, out in a rural setting.
There has been noises, bangings, footsteps, all the usual things you expect in a haunted house.
Heating grate. Now I can understand how some of the sounds could echo through the house and seem like it's ghostly voices. Now, this is the area of the museum that excites me the most.
At the top of the stairs, people have reported seeing a woman walk across the landing. I took infrared photography. There are some elements that it will pick up that you can't see with a normal camera. But it looked like a dead zone. It didn't look like there was anything there, unfortunately.
Didn't expect it, but there's always hope.
The apparition of the woman at the window. It said that she looks out of that window upon where the garden was. While I was there, I observed reflections of cars that are going by, in particular the windows, and you see this flash and you see something move, you might interpret it as being the ghost because you expect it to be the ghost, when in fact it is just a car driving down the road. This is a very well-known museum. It, for a longest time, was abandoned. The stereotypical haunted house, if you wanted a picture, you'd be taking a picture of this place. That legend doesn't go away. So anybody here coming in is primed to see what they want to see or expect to see. The results of my investigation don't make this a very encouraging haunting. I have to give it a 1. There's nothing going on here. I'm a scientist. I follow evidence. There's no evidence.
As one expert heads off, another joins the investigation.
My name is Rick Sr., and I'm a professional home inspector. I'm here at the Randall House Museum. I'm going to go in, have a look around, and see if I can get a reasonable explanation for some of the odd things that are happening here. Now, this is the doorknob that apparently is turning itself and the door opening. The door opens on its own. The door is a little bit crooked in its frame, and it will open all by itself. This is the light bulb that they've reported is coming on by itself and glowing white hot and then very dim. It is an old Edison-style light bulb. This may be related to a loose fuse in the panel downstairs. I had a look at the electrical panel. There are older fuses in there that may be coming loose, creating an unequal current flow, but I don't really see how that would happen unless somebody is physically turning them open and then closed again. Everything seems to be okay in there. As far as the sounds that people are hearing throughout the house, we looked up in the attic. There is a lot of airflow coming down through there, and it's entirely possible that things are getting knocked over and people are hearing them downstairs when there is nobody upstairs. Upon inspection of the furnace, I realized that it's entirely possible that the ductwork is rattling when the furnace turns on and off during the heating season. This may be the sound that people are hearing upstairs. I find it hard to believe that these are paranormal activities. I must admit, I still don't believe in ghosts.
Well, Crystal, I'd like to thank you for inviting us to Randall House to do our investigation. We realized very early that, yes, there's lots of ghosts and spirits around here.
I did connect with a spirit and I heard the name Anne. Does that make any sense to you?
Yep, it was Annie Randall. Her and her brother were the last 2 folks to live in the house.
So her brother, the name that came forward was Earl.
That's Eardley.
Eardley,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
For me, the feeling the black apparition was absolutely him.
That's interesting. It makes sense though.
Yeah.
He would have been like, get out of my space.
Well, emotions can manifest into something like that. So that's how it came across to me, is like a manifestation of anger. Anne did explain that she lived here with her brother and she really was needing to contact her brother. But because they can operate and they can exist in different frequencies, they were unable to contact each other.
Oh.
It looked like to me that she reached out her hand to him and grabbed his hand. And then it took him a minute, but he had this like look of recognition on his face, like almost like he remembered all of a sudden, and he softened quite a bit.
Oh.
So the 2 of them are gonna stay here. They don't want to leave this house. And I asked that in return that they respect the staff here as well.
They really needed to get stuff sorted out. And I think Laura and I, we've been able to calm the spirits.
If you give them the respect that they're asking for and talk to them like they're here, because they really are, you'll find that things will calm down quite a bit. So like I said earlier, when you bring new staff in, it's nice to introduce them to the space. Your staff might think you're a little kooky for doing this, but talk to Annie and Eardley and tell them that, this is a new staff member, please treat her well. And I believe they will.
I think more places should adopt that policy.
I think now that there's a calmness here, that it's going to be a lot easier to get volunteers to come through the door. They won't feel that barrier pushing them back out. It was an interesting process, and I'm glad that I have answers now, So I'm really thankful for that.
Could the pale white face in the window at Randall House simply be the reflection of a passing car? Or is it the ghostly apparition of the former owner? Is it possible that Annie Randall has returned from the grave to keep an eye on her garden?
Executive producer Johanna Elliott. Supervising producer Jennifer Como. Series director Donna Davies. Hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren. Director of photography Mark Hammond. Integrated described video consultant Ron Rickford. Development and production executive Andrew Morris. Director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.
I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle.
Do you have a question you'd like to start with?
Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseeing.
So we're driving into the town of Millbrook, Nova Scotia.
Another Nova Scotia town.
Yeah, so this is a Mi'kmaq First Nations community.
Okay.
You can really feel like there's a sense of community here. We are going to see Anessa. She has had some very interesting things happening in her home.
My name is Nessa Brooks. I've been having some kind of experience. I have like this little Buddha statue on my door. When I came home one night, it was flipped over. We've had some different words appear on my shelf. Sometimes they'll say like MAS, or I've had the word Gemini. One of the other shelves below it, it wrote flame. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it or you didn't go through it. Oh my goodness, like I got chills down my body, or just like goosebumps were just all over. Just looking more for some more answers, I guess, because I don't really have any.
So far, what we know is that there has been some words appearing on a shelf.
Sounds different than anything else I've been on.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Anessa.
I'm Mark.
Hi, Mark. Nice to meet you.
I am Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
I understand you and a few spirits live here.
Yes, apparently it would seem that way.
Let's go find them.
All right, come on in. So, welcome to my home.
Okay.
I'll show you where all the activities kind of been happening at the end of the hallway.
It's so cute here. I love the color.
Thank you. So it seems pretty central to this spot down here. It doesn't seem to go anywhere else. This is the shelf where all the mysterious writing has been kind of popping up.
Words pop
Yeah,
up?
they were written in the dust.
The shelves are black, so if any little bit of dust gets on them, you would see it.
That was another thing that I noticed too, was the amount of dust that would collect just before it would happen. So I actually have some pictures here, if you want to take a look at that. And they write backwards.
So are they all backwards?
All backwards.
Okay.
All backwards.
So this one says Gemini and fire. I could definitely see that.
I was a little intrigued by it because, you know, having a son myself, I kind of figured that maybe he was the one writing on it. But every time I noticed the writing, he wasn't home. Smart as he is, I don't think he can write Gemini backwards so clearly. It would be interesting if he could, but it definitely wasn't him. He wasn't home when any of these things were happening either. So it was definitely weird that it was just me that was home.
You a Gemini?
I'm not. I'm a Pisces, and my son is a Taurus.
Yeah.
It wrote flame on one shelf and then a MAS on another shelf.
Sam.
Sam.
Yeah.
And ironically, my son's father is named Sam.
Would you recognize your ex's handwriting?
Yeah. He
And
has.
that is not it?
No, it's not his handwriting. It's not his handwriting. He's got very cursive-y handwriting.
Does he have a key to the house?
Nope, no key to the house. No, he doesn't have access to the house unless I'm here. So.
Sam has been written more than once.
Yeah, that one seems to be the most prevalent one.
Somebody's really trying to talk to you.
Yeah, really trying to get through there.
Yeah.
I had this flower plant on the shelf where my grandmother gave me for my birthday. And when I went to move it, there was this dime right behind it. I've always known that dimes are messages from the spirit world, their loved ones. And I thought it was kind of funny because like it's just in such a spot that just you wouldn't think of a dime being there. I moved it, totally forgot all about it. Then it showed back up the next day. So I just laughed, and knowing that, I kind of chuckled and wiped the shelf down. And I had said out loud, okay, let's test it. And I put it out in the kitchen. The next day, I looked over, could see it right at the end of the hallway.
There again.
It was there again. And that was when I got one of the waves of emotion where it was just like, wow, okay, so that really happened. I would get like a surge of emotion where like I would just, tears would form in my eyes. And I wasn't sad or anything, but like it was such an overwhelming experience that like I would get tears and then I would get shivers. That same night, that was when the writing had started appearing. This is a picture of my grandmother and I in her old house before it had burnt down. So my grandmother, Connie, she lived in this house my whole life. And then the house burnt down. She got out of the fire safely. There was no serious injuries there. And we rebuilt it. I moved in here April 2018. And then this one was the word love.
Oh, yeah.
And then on one of the other shelves below it, it wrote fire. Part of me thinks that it might be my grandmother. At the same time, I don't know. You know, being an Indigenous woman, I've grown up kind of being more open-minded to the spirit world. So there's been a few other things that have happened. The bathroom door will close and lock on me. I've tried and tested my theories of accidentally locking the door handle. You can't accidentally lock it.
So a lot of activity just in this area.
Yeah, it seems to be central to this area. I don't know what it is, but it's this area. I've also had my Buddha statue on my door flip over. So it kind of was like that when I noticed it.
Yeah. It's round on the front. In order for it to flip around, it would be really difficult to do unless you actually picked it up and did it yourself.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
I tried opening and closing the door and slamming it and wouldn't budge.
Do you ever feel a presence?
Sometimes I feel like a little bit of like something's not watching me, but like something's kind of there and then it'll go away very quickly. Or I'll be laying in bed and I'll get like a heat source.
Body heat.
Yeah, it's like a body heat and it's just central to the one spot. And then I'll move my foot and it'll go away.
This area, like the bedroom where the bed is, the end of the bed, and your bathroom and the shelf here, like it's all in one really centralized area.
It seems to be really all in one centralized area.
Okay.
You have your work cut out for you.
I do feel like there is a message, a bigger message. So yeah, now we have to figure out how we're going to get to the bottom of everything.
Exactly, yeah. Take it apart, one bit at a time.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Laura and I are investigating a case in the Mi'kmaq community of Millbrook First Nation.
This is the famous shelf.
Yes, I hear there's lots of activity right here in this area of the house. Since we've come here, I've been dizzy. Feels like energy is passing me by. The writing backwards is very curious to me.
It might just be kind of an affect from maybe the spirit world trying to talk to her. So I don't know that is significant yet, but I'll find out. Anessa talked about being locked in the bathroom and the doorknob kind of being locked without her
Or that the
locking
door
it.
slammed and it was locked.
That too. And so a lot of times it can come across as a little bit scary in the moment, but I think what it is spirit's just really trying to get her attention.
Yeah, that's what I feel too.
You need to talk to Anessa and take her hand, and I need to talk to the spirits.
Yeah.
The way I do readings, the way I work, I do read energy. So it's not just spirit energy, but because spirit is often present, because they often have messages, that's what comes forward. It could be a spirit guide, or it could be a great-grandmother, or it could be many different energies, and I read them like sort of like frequency or like radio waves. Feels like Anessa has a lot of family protection, and I have a symbol for when the protection goes back through the generations, and I see almost like if you looked at two mirrors together and you see the reflection that's repeated over and over again, that's a symbol I see of like heads and shoulders going back many, many generations. They're calling Anessa back to a more traditional life, to more traditional belief system, and to understand and value where she came from.
For clues to help solve this complicated case, I need to sit down with Anessa.
Anessa, I've been so excited to see your hand. When we've seen some of the happenings that went on around here, I've been convinced that the answers are going to be in your hand. Properly open my third eye, I just have to smell the eucalyptus oil, do a quick meditation, on goes the psychic mind, and I'm ready to read. I'm seeing, leading from the shelves, I'm seeing a chain of hearts. They're different hearts.
Okay.
They are, some of them are big, some of them are small, but they're all sort of chained together.
Okay.
The trail of hearts are hearts of people you've loved, family you've loved. Also mixed in there are the hearts of people who have loved you.
Okay.
So I'm seeing the opening of a cave, okay? And there you were, like pulling person after person and bringing them into the light. As these people were coming out of the darkness, coming out of the cave, you're handing them umbrellas, all right? And an umbrella is a form of protection. I see trees in everybody's hands, okay? And that talks of their family.
Okay.
And what I saw is your family at the base, the roots of the tree are very, very vast,
Yeah.
okay?
It's funny that you say like the tree and the roots, because I just recently got a tattoo on my thigh, and it's in the representation of a family tree.
Yeah.
And the roots are really long,
Yeah.
and I have a heart in the middle of the roots.
Okay. All the things that I'm seeing, these are all things that people want your attention, whether it's the people in the heavens or whether it's the people that you're bringing out into the light, that you're sharing your good spirit with. And that's why we have like the knockers on the doors. We have the little notes being written over here.
Yep.
These are just the spirits trying to catch your attention.
So here we are in your beautiful backyard.
Yes, it's gorgeous. We got a nice, beautiful day.
I brought some sweetgrass with me, and I was wondering if you would mind if I lit some.
No, not at all.
Okay. And I also have white buffalo sage, which is kind of like my go-to.
Yeah.
Use it all the time.
Yeah.
What I really wanted to kind of touch base with you about today, talk to you, there has been some impressions that have come forward for me.
Okay.
Your grandmother's spirit energy has been with me for a few days. She was pretty adamant that she wouldn't tell me too much until we sat down in person.
Okay.
The one thing that I did really feel very strongly is that she's very proud of you. There's an acceptance in her too, that she knew that she wasn't going to be able to see you really reach your full potential in your life, but at the same time, she is watching you. She wants to be your sounding board, so you can talk to her, you can share with her, talk out loud, and listen, because she said she's been speaking to you for a long time, and you hear her, but you often go, oh, that's just a memory. She's talking to you all the time, and you hear her very clearly. It's interesting that the words that showed up on your shelf are flame and fire, because that's a theme that ran through her life. Your grandmother wants to make sure that your voice is always heard because she said you do have a hard time speaking up for yourself. She does say that it's hard for you because there's family trauma. And she said that you feel it, like it's happened to you, even if things haven't happened to you, and you see things as if it's happened to you. And it's almost like if somebody was cut, you feel cut. And she said, that's the beautiful part of you. It's challenging, but that's your beauty, that you understand how people feel.
We definitely lost a lot of our culture in our family through the generational trauma that had happened and stuff with her being a survivor of the residential schools. So for us, it's been kind of that struggle to connect again and find those roots.
Your grandmother wants you to know that you have all the support of your family that's passed on, and she's organizing them and orchestrating all these events to happen in your life so that you're looked after.
While Laura and I scrutinize Anessa's property for spirit messages, another investigator arrives.
I'm Daryl Walsh. I'm a paranormal analyst, and I've been called here to Millbrook to this relatively new house that is experiencing supernatural happenings. I've come to a fascinating mystery. We're talking about ghostly writing. Ghostly writing is very rare in parapsychology. So this is the infamous bookcase. Let me try. It is not easy. The ghost has more dexterity than I do. In sleep, when we're asleep, there are 4 stages. Stages 3 and 4 are very deep. And stage 4 is when we dream, we actually dream. Stage 3, however, is when we sleepwalk. And we can really do a lot of complex things in sleepwalking. The homeowner might have got up and subconsciously wrote whatever the brain was thinking of. It was written backwards, which is kind of something we'd expect if it was coming from the deep side of the brain. Most sleepwalkers, unless they live with somebody and the person says, you know, you were sleepwalking last night, don't know that they do it. And a moving dime. She had a dime, and the dime kept moving. Everything's too solidly built, so no shaking that I did at all moved anything. Unless she did this in her sleep again at night, if it happened during the day and she was awake, I can't explain that. I could explain it maybe if somebody else in the house decided to play a joke on her. Now, Mr. Buddha, how would you get backwards? As for the Buddha, there is no way that Buddha can move without somebody physically moving it. You're not moving. There's that big discussion in parapsychology about how an ephemeral ghost can actually move something that's physical. But if we even put that aside, what I think probably happened was the homeowner nudged the Buddha, and because the homeowner already was primed to think something weird was going on because of the writing, she tied it in together and said, okay, the Buddha. After doing a careful analysis, I could not find anything that's supernatural, unusual, mysterious. I'd say this is just a simple case of sleepwalking and seeing what you want to see.
As one expert heads off, another joins the investigation.
Hi, my name is Rick Sr., and I'm a professional home inspector. Today I'm here in Millbrook to investigate some odd occurrences that are happening in this home. So this is the door knob that seems to be locking all by itself. This is a twist type locking door handle. The problem is that somebody would physically have to turn that lock in order to lock the door itself. And I don't believe that it would lock on its own or even accidentally. The door is binding quite badly at the top, and I can see where that could be mistaken for it being locked from the inside. This humidistat controls the air exchanger in the home. The air exchanger regulates the amount of moisture that's in the air within the home. This may be the cause of the door swelling and therefore sticking in the door frame. So this door doesn't jam at all like the other one. I can't see any reason why that Buddha would flip over by itself. This is the home's air exchanger. It's used to regulate the amount of humidity that's within the house at different percentages for different seasons. The intake is badly blocked with debris and it really needs to be cleaned. This could be preventing proper airflow through the house. And this may be affecting the overall percentage of moisture in the house. Therefore, the doors are swelling beyond what they should be. I have to say that I'm pessimistic. I don't believe anything of a paranormal nature is happening in this house.
Hey, Nessa, I'd like to thank you for inviting us into your home so that we can conduct our investigation. Laura and I strongly believe that there are spirits here at work.
During the initial walk around, I just had this feeling like spirit was so present. Some of the signs are to confirm that it was your grandmother. That was her way of directly telling you, listen, because it's me talking to you.
I had my strong belief that it was her, and I feel like that just kind of was my confirmation.
She did tell me some things. The fact that Sam's name showed up, and I do believe it is Sam. It's pretty unmistakable.
Yeah.
She said that in this life, one of your challenges was to move past that relationship in a sense.
Okay.
The two of you are kind of going in different directions. The dimes were placed there and moved around to get your attention. And it is a message from all the passed on loved ones that you have that have come forward to help you in this time. There's a lot of pain in your family and a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
You have a path where you are releasing all this family trauma and this pain that's been in your family for so many generations. Your grandmother survived. She survived so much. And she said, you don't have to go through the same things that she did. You're very resilient, and your soul and your spirit has a path. You're gonna do this just by being yourself and letting your light shine in the world.
It all makes sense. It all is it's like the last piece of the puzzle, I think, that I needed to really lock it in place and move on and continue on to my journey and see where the rest of it goes.
Some may dismiss mysterious writing at Nessa's as a result of sleepwalking. Others may see it as proof of communication from beyond the grave.
Executive producer Johanna Elliott. Supervising producer Jennifer Como. Series director Donna Davies. Hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren. Director of photography Mark Hammond. Integrated described video consultant Ron Rickford. Development and production executive Andrew Morris. Director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.
I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle.
You have a question you'd like to start with?
Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseeing.
We're in the community of Hampton. We're on the shores of the Bay of Fundy.
I can feel all the twists and turns in the road.
Yeah, lots of farmland here. And we're going to Barbara Nichols' home. She's got some pretty strange things happening and a lot of different types of activity.
I'm Barbara Nichols, and I bought this house about 20 years ago, I would say. I was coming down my stairs. My stereo system spontaneous came on, the radio came on. I couldn't explain. I just thought, oh, that's weird. The gate swung with violent force and made the dogs jump, made me jump, my husband, what's going on? From there, I had things flying off my stove, off my window. A fire extinguisher had moved from its corner location, and it was right in the middle of where I had to walk through. It had moved 2 feet. So with Mark and Laura coming here, I would really like some input on what could possibly be going on.
Hampton Cemetery, right there.
Oh, the cemetery.
And here we are at Barb's house now.
Perhaps that could be the explanation for
some of the activity.
Yeah, some of the activity, yeah.
Oh, it's a cute little farmhouse. There are goats and some chickens.
Sounds like paradise.
Hello, welcome to my home. Nice
Hi,
to
Barb.
meet you.
How are you? I'm Mark.
Mark.
Hi, I'm Laura.
Laura, nice to meet you
Nice to
also.
meet you.
I understand there's all kinds of activity around here.
There's some things going on, Mark, I must say.
Let's find out what they are.
Well, come on in. Welcome to my home.
I love it. It really is that farmhouse feel.
Thank you. Over here actually is a thing that just happened just a couple weeks ago. This little leopard went flying off and it landed in a colander right on my counter at a diagonal. I know gravity. Gravity takes you down. It doesn't fly on a diagonal, so it was the strangest thing.
When we came up to the property, we're walking in, it just feels like energy popping out of the ground, like all these little almost bubbles. So I can feel like this is a very active place.
Well, come on over.
Okay.
I'm going to show you an area that there seems to be a lot of activity going on here. One evening, I thought I saw something at the corner of my eye, and with that head turn, the gate went like this.
So when the gate slammed, the dogs didn't move?
Well, they looked towards the gate, but they didn't, bark or
didn't react?
respond in that way. They, all heads turned to the gate, yes.
Wow.
But they didn't
They
run
didn't
out?
get after it, no.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll see things that we won't.
And then my wood stove, see this beautiful trivet my husband made it?
Oh, that's beautiful.
I was just standing across the room and it flew off the stove, hit the floor, did a couple of rolls, and landed on its
And
feet.
it's so heavy. Like,
It's very heavy.
Mark, I want you to just feel this because I know it's like a big horseshoe, like horseshoes made into
That's
a
right,
trivet.
exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's occurrences right in this local area or other places in the house?
There's other places in the house, but there seems to be, would be my corner of things falling and flying and slamming and...
I think I have an idea of what might be happening, but I think we need to investigate a little bit more.
Okay.
And if there's more areas that you want us to see, I'd love to see them.
Yeah, there's more.
I'm gonna come up the stairs here, Mark.
Yeah, watch your step. There's a rail. So this is my bedroom in here, and there's been some strange occurrences. One evening, it happened in May, and I was laying, having a little rest on my bed.
Okay.
I was dead asleep, and there was a pinging coming seemingly from one spring in the bed, and it was going pong, pong. But it was going deep into my belly button that I was feeling it internally in my body.
Okay.
So I don't understand what it's about.
Prior to this house,
Yes?
did you have anything like that happen?
In every house that I've owned, I've had not this type of thing, but some strange occurrences that are left unexplained that I just have to bite the bullet and ignore. It's like, this is what made me nervous. I've never been nervous up until now.
But that's what happens when we don't understand something. It can be scary. So that's why we're here, to help you understand what's happening.
That's right, yeah.
And then you won't be afraid anymore.
Barbara and her husband Michael agreed to share some rather puzzling footage they captured on their new video camera.
Okay, you ready? We'll start it.
We're going to show you the little video we took back in November.
Okay.
Did you see it? Like, it comes right through the rail, and then it shoots up to the corner of the room. But then there's a second one coming through at the very end, and it's a little bit slower and not so erratic. See
There,
that one?
I saw that one too. So Mark, watching the video, it looks like a bright globe that's kind of traveling through the room from the hallway where all the activity is. Can you tell me, like, what happened? How did you get to take this video?
I'd bought a new trail cam. I was unfamiliar with it. I'd taken a few stills, and I wanted to try the movie feature. So when she came in, I played it, and then she got all excited, right?
I think the smaller dog almost looked like the dog did see something.
You can see his eyes there.
He's looking right out over at Michael's
He's
big
looking
foot
at
there.
me, right?
Mm-hmm. Cameras pick up a lot of things that our eyes don't see. Lots of people send me videos of orbs, and that looks to me like that is a real orb, yeah. We already know we have so much activity in that hallway, you know, and things moving and that kind of thing. And a lot of orbs, like pictures and videos that we take, sometimes you can explain it away, but that one's a little bit hard to explain.
I think so too,
yeah.
To unravel the mystery behind the strange activity here, Laura and I need to get to work.
Okay, so we're coming into the area that Barb was talking about, sort of this little hallway here.
Yeah, there was a lot of things going on right here.
My first feelings and impressions when we came here and we came into the home, it feels like energy coming up from the ground, but it's not consistent. It's like bits and pieces. So it can be very intense in one moment and not so much the next. So almost like bubbles popping up out of the ground. The cemetery's there, but a lot of old farmland, they did bury their family right on the land. So yeah, we're definitely in a place where there's lots of energy that seems to come up from the earth here.
Right here in this area is, you know, it's very intense.
Well, to have like that heavy trivet fly off the wood stove, to have like a fire extinguisher move to the middle of the hallway with nobody to do that, or the gate to slam so violently, there's stuff happening here. So we're at the kitchen sink and the window here where Barb has noticed some activity. And she showed us this little leopard guy here. Let's just say a gust of wind came and blew it off.
Ends up in the sink.
Ends up in the sink, exactly.
She said it came down on a diagonal, probably 8-10 inches away from the wall.
For me, that is like another indicator that we have spirit here trying to give a message. I think we can really help her to settle things down. And often the center of it is sometimes the person who is, you know, experiencing some change in their life. So I think your reading's really going to help her.
Barb, I've been looking forward to seeing your hands. This place has got a lot of activity in it, and I'm interested to see if you're affecting it or if it's affecting you.
Okay.
I just need to smell eucalyptus oil and on goes the psychic mind. What I saw is a satellite dish. Some of the things that go on around here, they've probably gone on previous years, like before you have moved here. It started off quiet and it's been getting louder and louder and louder. Yeah, and whatever's going on here is trying to get your attention. And that's why it gets louder and louder and louder. And I see that it has more to do with you than it does to do with this home. It's like people say, is my house haunted? Okay, well, sometimes the answer is no. Sometimes it is you who's bringing the spirits forth.
That's what I always thought. It was like attached to me. Like it's not just this house, right?
Probably the people who lived here before you probably had no occurrences. But these occurrences, they've been following you. Like you're drawing them in as opposed to you coming to them, okay? When you hear the gate slam, for example, well, that might frighten you, but these are all things to catch your attention.
Somebody or something, an energy is definitely getting my attention.
Meanwhile, Laura is tapping into the spirit world to determine exactly who or what is trying to get Barbara's attention.
Connecting with spirit is a way of kind of hearing, feeling, sensing, seeing energy. It's energies of many different types of beings. So we are in Barbara's bedroom where she's experienced some odd physical sensations and sounds that seem to be coming from the bed. My process, how I get information, when I come into somebody's home, I open up my energy centers to receive energy information, intuitive information that we can't see with our physical eye. feels like to me that energy comes up through the ground here. And sitting here in the room, I don't think it's necessarily connected to the bed. It feels like more to me that Barbara's in the right place at the right time, and she's shifting as a spiritual person. So she experienced this right at the level where our third chakra would be, so what we call the solar plexus. And that's an energy center in our body that tends to hold a lot of emotional information or a lot of emotions from previous experiences. And to me, this whole thing feels like she's clearing out those old emotions and that old baggage so she can move through some hard things in her life and moving into maybe a better experience. And that feeling that she had here, to me, feels like more like a release or like what we might say like a cleansing of that old energy that she doesn't need anymore.
As Laura and I concentrate our efforts on the spirit realm, another investigator arrives.
I'm Daryl Walsh. I'm a paranormal analyst. Most supernatural things are very simple. There might be footsteps, might be a vision. This place, however, is different. There's a wide variety of phenomena here. A nice little farm, very welcoming, and it doesn't look like the place that you would expect to find strong, poltergeist-like phenomena or paranormal phenomena. First, I checked out the kitchen. At the window, the little leopard statuette. I can see how it can fall. This part of the valley, mini earthquakes all the time. This is part of the Appalachian mountain ranges, so I can see how it could fall. Jumping in here. What I can't see is how it made a 90-degree turn and landed in the colander on the counter. That's just beyond the science of physics or the science involved in parapsychology. So with that one, I can't explain that. From there, I went to the trivet. Okay. The metal trivet. How did you manage to bounce twice and end up 3.5 feet away from the stove? Unless there was a 9.6 earthquake, I can't see how that would fall off or what vibration could possibly even do that, unless something exploded inside the stove that they were burning at the time, and even I'm reaching for that one. So that's another unexplained one. No idea. Next, we come to the gate. Well, the gate is very light. So it's understandable that it would move with the littlest of vibrations, a breeze, anything like that. However, that's not what the gate did. It supposedly smashed against the bottom of the stairs and then smashed back against the wall. Any movement of it, general movement, real movement of it, I can understand. The smashing, I can't. So I went up to the homeowner's bedroom. This is the one where she's feeling vibrations and sounds coming up out of the bed. The bed springs in the bed vibrate at certain levels. 99.999% of the time, they won't vibrate unless they're introduced into some sort of stimulus. Since we're on the Appalachian Mountains, the micro earthquakes might have just happened to coincidentally vibrate at the right spot to make them do that. In which case, then, she would have felt the vibrations through her body. Because it's such a variety of phenomena here, it's definitely a dream for somebody who's looking for the paranormal.
Laura directs her focus on Barbara's garden area.
So I was really drawn to this sunflower here. It's just outside the kitchen in the house where a lot of the energy seems to all line up with all the activity that's happening inside. It's not usual to see a plant growing out of a sidewalk, and the energy is really, really excited and kind of like a little mischievous too. To me, it looks like a fairy shrine and gifts for the fairies. Somebody who's intuitive might do this and not really even quite understand that they're appeasing the fairies, but this is something absolutely that you would do. You'd set up a shrine or something to give back to them. They absolutely can be mischievous, and they absolutely like attention, and they like to be known that they're here. So if anybody's paying attention at all, they're gonna ramp up activity to show their presence. And a lot of times fairies, they demand a certain amount of respect. If you respect them and you listen to them and you respect the land, they're usually just fun and playful, but I wouldn't test them.
Back inside, Daryl Walsh continues his investigation.
Let's have a look at this orb video. In the 90s, they started to shrink cameras. For the point and shoots, they became tiny. Problem, the flash is too close to the aperture. So if anything quickly goes by that lens, it's going to be out of focus. It picks up every grain of dust, every droplet of moisture, every single insect, and they all are usually transparent, and they're bright if they're close enough, of course. So it started off this whole orb phenomena in the late 90s. This is rural Nova Scotia, which I love. One thing I don't love in rural Nova Scotia is the bugs. That video that I saw of the supposed orbs were just two insects flying extremely fast, too close to the camera for the camera to lock onto them and understand what they were. I've never been in a house with such a variety of disparate phenomena as this house does. Usually they're connected. That's what makes this, particular haunting so intriguing. So we come to the big question. Is this house haunted? I have no idea.
So Laura, what kinds of things have you picked up on?
There's fairy energy. So this energy of fairies they just love the fact that Barbara and Michael love their animals so much and that they love the land so much. If there was different people living here and they didn't appreciate this place, then maybe the fairies would be unhappy. So I do believe that Barbara herself has gone through sort of like a spiritual journey, and some of the things that have happened to her here, it's almost like taking somebody who's sensitive and putting them in a very active energy area. So for me, this property in this house is active energetically. And then you add Barbara to the mix, who is paying attention, who is aware, and who is also feeling it on a deep level. It's actually helping her through her own spiritual kind of path. So I'm excited to talk to her, and I'm excited to introduce her to her spirit family that's here and looking out for her.
Yes, I think she's going to be very excited to know that it's fairies, it's not demons.
Yeah. Well, I hope she didn't think that. Oh my gosh, that would be terrible.
It would, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara, I'd like to thank you for having Laura and I in to conduct our investigation. We've had some pretty interesting findings. Both Laura and I have got the feeling that we're dealing with fairies, and the spirits that we're seeing, they're not malicious.
Oh.
Do you feel comfortable with fairies dancing around?
I am so excited. You guys have validated me beyond belief. I've lived with such incidents my whole life.
I felt like they were really just wanting to show you that they're here. And fairies can be a little bit demanding in the amount of attention they require. So I think moving things around and things going missing, we can absolutely say that that's attributed to them because they want you to know they're here, but they're also here supporting you. They're here supporting what you're growing and supporting the animals too. As long as you and Mike are here and you feel like you're honoring the land, I feel like you're gonna have many happy years here.
Oh. Well, I hope so. It is a dream home for me and Michael, and we do put a lot of energy into our home. So for the fairies to be having a party on my tree, it's an honor, right?
I'm so glad we could come and do this.
Thank you so much for coming.
It was a pleasure.
I can't believe that you really came here, that you found something that you could explain that's unexplainable. Right?
Some may attribute the strange events at Barbara's house to earth tremors or flying insects. Those who take a closer look may see the incidents as the work of powerful, mischievous fairies.
Executive producer Johanna Elliott. Supervising producer Jennifer Comeau. Series director Donna Davies. Hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren. Director of photography Mark Hammond. Integrated Described Video Consultant Ron Rickford. Development and Production Executive Andrew Morris. Director Programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.
I'm Mark Jolly. I'm a psychic, a modern-day oracle. You have a question you'd like to start with? Although I've been blind since birth, I have the ability to see things that others cannot. When I touch somebody's hand, I get flashes of their past, present, and future. I've teamed up with one of North America's most talented mediums.
I'm Laura Warren. I've been communicating with spirits since I was a child. As a professional psychic medium, I act as a conduit between the living and the dead.
Laura and I are on the road, putting our psychic skills to the test, investigating paranormal mysteries in some of the oldest places in North America. While we tap into our psychic ability to solve the case, outside experts use logic and science in effort to debunk the supernatural.
It's a dead zone.
I did not find anything that could be interpreted as ghosts.
In the end, it's up to you to decide, is this place haunted or not? Sightseers.
We've just arrived in New Ross. We're going towards the New Ross Castle, and it's not exactly what it sounds. There are remnants of a castle's foundation walls in the ground underneath this home.
That's very interesting.
Even though Tim and Alessandra have never lived on the property, they have spent a lot of time there, and they have experienced some pretty strange stuff by the sounds of it.
My name is Alessandra Slavka Narudvari. This house has had a weird feel to it. When we are here cleaning up or doing renovations, we too feel like we are not alone. My husband's drill bit will disappear, then he will ask for it back, and it reappears in a different spot where he would not have put it. When I was here cleaning up one time, the door kept opening and closing. There was no wind, there was nobody outside.
The couple bought this home to protect the land, actually from treasure hunters.
We found out this property was for sale. It was in 2015. And there were rumors that some American treasure hunters planned to come here and dig it up and look for Templar treasure. It is believed that there's treasure hidden here, and this was an outpost of the Knights Templar. There is some evidence suggesting that the foundations in the backyard are indeed from the 1600s. A medallion from the 1600s was found very close to this property.
This case has drawn international attention. Psychics from all over the world, experts from all over the world have been on this property trying to figure out what the connection is.
I would like to get confirmation about ghosts that are in this house and in the basement, and if it is a site of historical significance.
Hello, my name is Alessandra. This is my husband, Timothy, and our son, Nicholas.
Nice to meet you.
Hi there. We understand there's been some occurrences going on.
Well, some people might think it's just an old house, but personally, I think that there could be a ghost here. We won't know until we search it.
That's what we're here to do.
Well, this is the house. It's currently under reconstruction. Most interesting part is in the back, but there's some pretty weird stuff that goes on in the house too. One of the things I've encountered myself is I hear voices. So it's usually two people talking. One of them sounds like could be male, but the other one is definitely female. And it sounds like there's people standing in front of the house talking. And the first couple of times I just didn't pay that much attention. I thought it was, neighbors. And so I looked out the windows. There was nobody around. And then about that same time, I started feeling like, somebody was watching me. And another thing we haven't been able to figure out here too is we keep the power switched off. So it's off at the box. We have an electrician's gun. There's no shorts and wires. But yet somehow we keep getting these big power bills. It's like something is eating energy out of the power meter. Mm-hmm. There's definitely some weird stuff going on here.
Just very easy initial feeling is this feeling of running here to hide. And that's a really strong feeling that comes through, that this was a place to hide. So as we continue the investigation, it'd be interesting to see where that fits into this puzzle.
Alessandra agreed to show us her huge backyard where the castle was said to have been located.
So this is the Neuros Castle. We are actually walking right on top of it. It's underground.
That's ingenious.
We believe it was at least the size of this entire backyard based on the photos that were taken by a previous owner, Joan Harris. She was actually the person who found the walls, and she, with great effort, removed all the topsoil in the backyard to expose the old foundation wall.
There is a strong feeling like we're standing on the corner of the foundation of the castle and not necessarily the whole castle. And I do feel very pulled to the property next to us.
That's exactly what Joan Harris believed, because when she uncovered the foundation walls, she saw a continuation of at least one wall onto the neighbor's property.
Okay.
So we think we just have a fraction of the castle.
The castle, yeah.
Yes.
There was a book called The Holy Grail Across the Atlantic by Michael Bradley, and New Ross is featured in this book extensively. It talks about how there's treasure hidden here and how this was an outpost of the Knights Templar.
If you look over here, you will see a pile of rocks, and there is one that's actually missing. It was a big standing stone that was sticking out of the ground. Joan Harris erected it and cleaned it up, and she noticed that on the face of the stone, there was a faint cross, and it's very similar to the Templar cross Patay,
which is basically the most famous symbol of the Knights Templar. The Knights Templar were a medieval military religious order. They were basically warrior monks who got started during the Crusades. They rose to prominence and immense wealth very quickly. And it is believed that they actually found ancient Jewish treasure, gold, gemstones, but also the Grail.
This legend says that they brought their fabulous treasure here in 1307, and that perhaps they even lived here and that this was their refuge. One of the best preserved and most remarkable features on this property is this old stone well. This well has actually attracted international attention. Some people believe that the water from the well has healing properties and that it has healed or helped them with their health problems.
What do you see?
Well, the top part of the well is like a modern casing, but I can see down about 5 feet and that it's nothing from any modern time that we've seen.
A lot of what we know is from the writings of Joan Harris, the former property owner. She believed that the well was between 50 to 60 feet deep, but we did our own measurements and it's only 20 feet or maybe 23 feet deep.
It almost feels like there is a base, so thick posts that have a platform, and there's a door in the platform.
Like a hatch?
Like a hatch.
Wow.
This site feels very energetically active. I'll have to spend a little bit of time back here to really connect and get you some more information.
Once Laura does her investigation and once I see people's hands, we're going to be able to get down to the bottom of it, I hope.
Excellent.
To get more insight into the New Ross Castle mystery, Laura focuses her investigation on the house that sits at the front of the property.
It's so weird up here. It's like I'm in this stone castle, and the moisture and the smell of the stones and the mustiness, the dankness of it is all still here, even though I'm in this house that obviously is not a castle.
Tim, I've been so anxious to sit down and read your hands. I believe that there's going to be lots of answers found.
Okay.
I'm seeing Pegasus, horse with wings on it. Generally speaking, that's related to speed. And the way I'm interpreting it is you got this land just in time. If you didn't buy this property, somebody else would have bought it and would have changed what went on around here as far as the preservation.
Okay.
I think that the activities that are going on in this house really don't have too much to do with the house, but it has to do with what happened right at the spot on this property. Injustices. And it was injustices done behind the walls. The image that I just saw was a Knights Templar, and he had thrust his sword into another man's shoulder. That's just one of the traumas that's buried below the house. And there are ley lines on this property. I believe that rock that was found and relocated, I believe that is quite significant. That is the point where all the ley lines intersected. All the turbulence, it is all coming because of this major intersection that you have on your property. And your house just happens to be in the way. After scouring every inch of the property, Laura is drawn to the well.
I'm connecting with an ancient spirit. He stands tall in knight's armor with the face mask down. The red cross is on the breast of his armor. He has been the protector in spirit for many, many years, long before history was written in this area. People were brought here overseas strictly for building and construction. Many, many lives lost in the depth of the well. This well is extremely deep. I sense there is a platform partway down, a hatch opening. He said all the material treasure, all the material worth that has been hidden is still hidden. As I stand here, I've been shown an image of where all the structures were when this land was originally settled. It's closed in, more like a courtyard, but I do see parts of the castle. All the castle structures that I'm seeing are medieval. The basic building blocks of the castle are still here. They're under the earth. I can see that there are tunnels present on this property. I'm asking the knight that stepped forward if he will give me any more information. I'm giving thanks to the land and gratitude for being here and opening up my own energy field to allow spirit to talk. There are secrets on the property. The tunnels, a lot of them have caved in. But underneath, to the left of the house, underneath the ground, there's another tunnel.
Daryl Walsh has arrived to lend his expertise to the investigation.
I'm so excited to be here at the alleged new Ross Castle. It's got all the elements a paranormal analyst wants. Elements of a haunting, there's historical mystery to it, there's archaeological elements to it. As a child, the Knights Templar always appealed to me. They were heroic. They fought battles. They had really cool uniforms. This house is only 85 years old, but it does demonstrate what we would call a classic haunting. Doors closing on their own, noises, voices being heard. There is that theory in parapsychology and in science that some people are more susceptible to electrical fields than others, and this can cause hallucinations. But most often, it'll cause an auditory hallucination. So I brought out my EMF meter just to check to see how secure the electrical fields in this house were. For such an older house, it has perfect electricals. There is no bleed off at all. I mean, this is old electrical wiring, but it's perfectly shielded, so I can't see any reason for the voices. I couldn't get anything higher than a 0.01, which I had to discount that possibility, the fact that they might have been induced by an electrical field. This house, as you can tell by looking around, it's mid-renovation. It is not in any way, shape, or form soundproof, airproof even for that matter. We are in the country, and you can hear conversations and voices from far, far away. So because the house is not tight and secure, the voices came from somebody outside, possibly. A key part of my investigation was this well. It's been a place of mystery. Once you get down about 5 feet, you're into really, really old rock. And so I put a camera down, and I had a rather laborious look around to all the rocks, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, that's an old looking rock. That's been there for a long time. A few hundred years anyway.
And when I was just about ready to give up.
That's interesting.
There was one rock of particular interest, close to the top.
Looks to be a triangle carved into the rock. Appears to be an eye in the middle.
The triangle with the eye in the middle has always been a significant symbol to many organizations and, more importantly, secret societies. One of which, of course, is the Knights Templar.
Yeah. It's kind of exciting to find.
I wasn't expecting to find anything, but lo and behold, I found this symbol. It was exciting. It was fascinating. Putting a rating to the mystery itself is probably the hardest thing to do. For the haunting that supposedly takes place in this house, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 1. For the archaeological evidence, I'm afraid I would have to give this rating a 5. And that 5 is because there still could be something here. There still could be a castle buried underneath this land.
As one expert heads off, another joins the investigation.
My name is Rick Sr., and I'm a professional home inspector. I'm here at what has been referred to as the New Ross Castle. Upon my arrival, I found this very beige box of a house, not much of a castle. I think I'm gonna find some great history. I don't think I'm gonna find any ghosts. In the early days of this house, there would have been no insulation in it. And to tell you the truth, back in that day, if somebody was talking across the street, you probably would have heard them through the walls. I understand that the current owner is continuing to hear things. I looked at the heating, I looked at the electrical, I looked at the plumbing. Everything is being recently renovated, so it's hard to tell what happened. Maybe there were, more loose pipes, loose ductwork. I don't know. We can't see. There's no evidence of it anymore. There's a big pile of rocks out behind the place. Well, apparently there used to be a Templar stone here that's been since removed and sent to Liverpool. Looks like just a pile of rocks or a fire pit to me. Now, as far as the well goes, well, it's definitely a dry stacked granite dug well. I don't see anything different in this dug well than any of the other 150-year-old dug wells. It's just a standard dry stacked stone well. I feel that this was an extremely interesting place to visit because of the alleged history here. I didn't really find anything that is out of the norm. I can't conclude that there's any paranormal activity going on here.
Well, Alessandra, it's been one of the most interesting investigations that we've done this summer. I believe that most of the goings on in the house are emanating from the property, not so much from the structure.
Yeah, it was really interesting to me. The building itself holds its own memory. So I know that some of the sounds and things that you've been hearing, my feeling is that it's an imprint from a previous time, but not near as old as the remnants of the castles and those kinds of things on the property. Walking out onto the property, I did connect with the energy and spirit of a knight. He said that there are secrets here. He did show me the well goes much deeper than it appears to, that there is some sort of false bottom in the well and it continues on to tunnels. The tunnel goes from the well and across the road and down the hill a little bit. There is still a stone-looking room, and it goes down into the stone room. But then he showed me an old padlock, as if the door was locked and I wasn't allowed in. There's clues to the puzzle here, but he made me feel like as long as people are looking for monetary treasure, that he wouldn't reveal what the Holy Grail is. He did say that the key is within each person and that it's a key to wisdom, knowledge, and possibly another energy, frequency, or dimension.
Right.
This land does feel like sacred land to me. It really does.
I feel the same about it. So hearing it from you just confirms what I have felt for a long time. We're going to preserve it and make sure that we don't disturb anything any more than it already has been. And I feel like everything you said deeply resonated with what I already knew, but didn't dare put into words. And it is the right path that we're on for us to stay here, care for it, protect it, and make sure that the Templar secrets stay safe.
Is the rubble foundation on this property simply a pile of rocks, or could it be remnants of a medieval castle? And if the Knights Templar were here, what did they leave behind?
Executive producer Johanna Elliott. Supervising producer Jennifer Como. Series director Donna Davies. Hosts Mark Jolly and Laura Warren. Director of photography Mark Hammond. Integrated described video consultant Ron Rickford. Development and production executive Andrew Morris. Director programming AMI TV Brian Perdue. Vice President Content Development and Programming John Melville. President and CEO David Arrington. Ocean Entertainment Limited.
Produced in association with AMI.